burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on, though sorrows heal my soul, and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on, and though the journey is long, the destination is near. Okay, anyway, it's okay. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know I can go on. Yeah. Okay, I just screwed up. Destination is near.
That's okay.
The destination is near. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, so I'll give. This is the intro I'm going to give you for that.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though trouble waits at every turn, I know I can go on. I think I have to simplify it because I'm not sort of singing it with as much. Anyway, but that's okay. You've got the.
So what do you need?
You fancy it up. No, you're doing just great.
Okay.
I think what I'm doing is I'm going to maybe not sing every note. I'm pretty sure I won't.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah. I just don't want to be running out of, it's a strong song and I don't want to be running out of breath and then it's sort of feebles instead of
Yeah.
strength, Okay, so what's the next one? There's a river flowing in my soul, number 107. 107.
You're doing another hymn?
Yeah, 107.
Which one?
107.
107.
There's a river flowing in my soul.
1007.
Oh, 1,000, yes, sorry, 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. sing it, river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Oh, is there? Oh.
No, I'm just gonna say, like at the end of river flowing in my mind, we're just gonna say, there's a river flowing in my soul, there's a river flowing in my soul, there's a river flowing in my soul. No?
No, you see the repeat?
Yeah.
That takes you to the second verse.
Yes,
So
and the
in my
third verse,
soul, there's a
but when
river
we
flowing in my
finish with the
soul,
mind,
and then you go to the second verse.
oh, each time I'm singing, there's a river flowing in my soul.
No.
It ends, it always ends here.
The first and second verse are just repeat, and
Yeah.
then the third verse.
There's a river flowing in my mind, and there's a river flowing in my soul, but we're not singing in my soul, we're not singing a whole verse of in my soul.
No, it's the end. It's
Yeah.
It's the last 3 bars.
Okay, so let's just get that last, I don't know where to pick, I guess from the beginning and just the last verse.
Okay.
Don't go away, Beverly. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river.
Got it?
Flowing in my soul.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have
That's
to
what I thought, yeah.
follow the repeat.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay. I know I can go on. Did we sing that? Yes, I guess I did. Yes. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, it's good. Such a feel for this stuff.
I like this stuff.
he's brilliant.
I like this
Because he's
stuff.
brilliant, yeah.
Well,
You are. But you're able to put that into, you're able to project that, the stuff that you love.
we try. Yeah, well, I listen to a lot of gospel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My favorite was Jimmy Swaggart.
I told you that his brother was a professor at my college.
Yeah. I'm only kidding. He wasn't my favorite, but he was actually like, all kidding aside, he was very good. He was a very good piano player.
Yes.
Jimmy was. Now, the prostitutes and the cocaine,
That was a bit,
that was a little bit much.
We're not talking about lifestyle, we're talking about
Yeah,
talent.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did forgive him the first time.
Sing pretty good.
He was amazing, actually, and he was a heck of a preacher. The guy knew the Bible inside and out. Like you talk.
It's gonna take a bit of work. Oh, work.
Firstly, after I graduated from high school, I took a secretarial course. I was going to be a secretary like my aunt, my dad's sister. Oh, I just loved it. Went to I had to do something. And that's when Reverend Perry came up to one of our church
Good morning. Before our service begins, I would like to share some announcements about the life and work of our church. Thank you.
Gonna take a bit of work. Oh, work. Now that you're here. Whoa, work.
You've got a fast car. I got a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You've got a fast car. I got a plan to get out of here. I've been working at a convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living. See, my old man's got a problem. He lives by the bottle, that's the way it is. He says his body's too old for working. His body's too young to look like this. Mama went off and left him. She wanted more to life than he could give. I said, somebody's gotta take care of him. So I quit school and that's what I did. You've got a fast car. Is it fast enough that we can fly away? Still gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or we can die this way. So I remember we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. And I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You've got a fast car. We go cruising, entertain ourselves. You still ain't got a job. So I work at the market as a checkout girl. I know things will get better. You'll find work and I'll get promoted. We'll move out of the shelter, find big house and live in the suburbs. So I remember when we driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You've got a fast car. Is it fast enough that we can fly away? We've got to make a decision. Leave tonight or we can die this way.
Thank you. Good morning. Before we begin our service, I want to share with you the work of our community. And as you might guess, as we begin a new church year next weekend. It's a lot. Join us next Sunday for Ingathering, September 10th, that celebrates community and prepares us for the year ahead. This is obviously a message from Reverend Jamie. The centerpiece of our service is the water ceremony, a ritual that symbolizes our return to the community after a time of rest and renewal. In this multi-gen service, we will also have the traditional blessing of the backpacks, and I hear it can be briefcases too, if anybody still uses those. Maybe you need to bless your computer. Mine could use it. This year, our blessing will be revisited and renewed on the first Sunday of each month as we follow the arc of our last year of interim ministry and prepare to call our next settled minister in June. The service is followed by a garden party and an opportunity for the community to gather and celebrate and continue the water ceremony for those who wish to share their water offerings in the fountain after the service. And as Reverend Jamie mentioned, search, that brings me to a couple of messages from Mel Rutherford, who's at Unicamp this weekend. First of all, the survey. It's important that people answer the survey from a personal standpoint. Don't try to think about what the church needs or the church wants. What we need to collect is what you want from each and every one of you so that we can collectively take that and develop a perspective that truly reflects the wants and needs of the congregation. There'll be a paper survey available, and Karen Trollope-Kumar will have that for Ingathering Sunday next Sunday. And the second thing is pretty exciting because part of Search is having a program called Beyond Categorical Thinking. And it's a way to help us think out of the boxes that we might be trapped in about what a minister could be or should be or needs to be. And it's run by the Unitarian Universalist Association. So when Mel connected with them and said that we would like to have that workshop, they have facilitators. So we thought, well, you know, they'll send somebody. No, they are not sending somebody. Keith Crone, the director of search process for UUA, like the head person, is coming in person to Hamilton on Saturday, September 16th. It's a morning workshop open to all, youth, members, congregants, everyone. There'll be refreshments. It'll be 2 1.5-hour chunks. It'll be online as well as here in the sanctuary. So get it in your calendar, and here's my... Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that, Tim. Childcare will be provided either in your own home or here, whichever works for you. And as I have been thinking about this also as a member of Search, so for the next 2 weeks, what I want you to say when you greet a member of the congregation, have you filled out the survey? Are you coming to Beyond Categorical Thinking? Those are your greetings for the next 2 weeks. So I hope you can indulge me in my humor a little bit. And we have many other announcements. So first of all, from Eva Rothwell, the fall meeting of the volunteers is this Tuesday, 12:30 at Eva. This is a chance to bring friends or people who might be thinking about volunteering. And if you have any questions, see Charlie or Doreen or contact them. And it's September. We have a huge need at Eva for donations of children and youth clothing, as well as always men's. Contact Doreen or Martin Dooley or bring things in and put them in the bin. And from the Food for Thought Book Club, the book for September is The Library Book by Susan Orleans, and the date of their meeting is September 18th, 1:30 in Fellowship Hall, and see Nancy Cove if you have any questions. Zoomers and Boomers, their first social is this Wednesday, 1:30 in Fellowship Hall, and come, bring a friend, discuss plans for the year, and contact Charlie. Visitor and congregational engagement are going to meet for their regular first Sunday of the month, I believe right here in a circle after you grab your juice or lemonade. And all are welcome, but particularly people new to the congregation for the meet and greet. From Climate Action, Mary Ellen Scanlon and David McLaughlin in their home just over the way on the other side of Main Street have done a fabulous greening project of their backyard, including, which I need to learn about, a porous and appropriate driveway, as well as some other plantings and exciting things. So it doesn't say here that you can come and see this, but, but you might want to contact Mary Ellen, because maybe you could. Also from Climate Action, a big shout out to those who picked 2 bushels and 6 boxes of apples, which all went to the hub last Sunday from our tree. And finally, from Welcoming Congregation in Social Justice, a thank you to Reverend Jamie, Monica, Sue, Kelly, Beverly, and Nancy, and Tim for their enthusiastic support of the church by being at Pride and putting the face of our church in the community on something that is increasingly important in this country right now. So thank you for your patience, and take a breath and take that all in, and then we'll begin the service. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton, both to you here in the sanctuary and to those with us online on Vimeo. We welcome you today, whatever the circumstances of your life, in the many ways that we identify as people, and in the diversity of ways that we love and live. In this house of faith, we are all included as we search for truth, build community, and strive to make the world a better place. My name's Gail Rappold. I'm your service leader this morning, and I want to thank those who've made today possible. I also have to say that I left my computer in Toronto on Friday, and I'm working from pasted bits of different sized fonts today. So if I struggle a bit, please be patient with me. Our music ministers, Catherine Cowley, Beverly Horton, and DJ Moons. I'll be reading the story, but it has been written and created by Beverly. Our tech team, our valiant tech team, Brian Carey, Claire Miles, Chase Tapley, and Kelly Wolf, Sue Johnstone and Sheila Dooley, who've done our setup and our flowers, and Jean Jacobs and Catherine Schuler, who greeted you at the door. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this service has been crafted and designed totally by Beverly, and I need to acknowledge that. We here in this congregation sit on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, Neutral, Erie, and Mississaugas. These are now called Canada and the Americas, but they were stolen from these indigenous people and colonized on the backs of them and enslaved Africans. As we enter September and contemplate National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, may we consider how we have benefited as settlers from this and continue to benefit from the effects of colonization. Take action. Land acknowledgement, then what? And on this Labor Day Sunday, from Megan Visser, our call to worship. We enter this sanctuary for kindness and comfort. May rough-worn hands and aching backs be healed. We enter this sanctuary for hope and equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We enter this sanctuary of love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. We enter this sanctuary of courage and friendship. May we proceed hand in hand toward freedom. We light our chalice each Sunday. We light it in hope and the hope of our faith. We light it each time we gather to remind us of the sacredness of our time together. Beverly will light our chalice, and when she's done that, we'll say our words together. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. And now, if rise as you are willing, and we will sing together number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, and Catherine will lead us, and I believe the words will appear.
Yeah, if you have a book, it's number 1007, 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
So our story this morning is written by Beverly, and with any luck, I'm going to be able to both read it and push the button at the right time. It is a story about the first black mailman, Albert Jackson, who was a mail person in Toronto. So let's see if we can do this. You've got mail. Okay. So, this is Hannah. And this is Hannah's granddad, Henry. Hannah and her granddad, Henry, had a weekly ritual. Around 10 o'clock each Saturday morning, Granddad Henry would knock on the door and yell, "Come on, kiddo, let's go for coffee." They never actually went for coffee. They both had hot chocolate. Somehow, "let's go for hot chocolate" didn't quite ring in the same way as going for a coffee. The idea of going for a coffee made Hannah feel very grown up. One particular Saturday, the coffee lady, Kara, saw Henry and Hannah, saw them coming and had their hot chocolate already before they even got there. "Coffee for Henry and Hannah," she said with a wink. Hannah rolled her eyes and turned to her granddad. Does she have to say that every week? It was funny the first time, but it's not funny every week. Once they settled in, Granddad said, "I have a story to tell you. Have I ever told you about Albert Jackson?" "No, who's that?" Hannah asked. "Albert Jackson was the first black mailman in Toronto." "That's who." "Really? Who was that? When was that?" "Oh, that was in the 1850s. Hannah smiled as she said, "Oh, so you knew him personally." "You're hilarious." "No, of course I didn't know him." Anyway, Granddad Henry continued, "Albert Jackson was born in Delaware in the 1850s. His mother, Anne Maria, escaped from the United States to Canada with 7 children, and he was the youngest. He was just a toddler at the time. On one of their previous coffee dates, Henry had explained to Hannah how enslaved people from the United States came to Canada as freedom seekers, so Hannah understood what Granddad was saying about how and when Albert and his family had come to Toronto. Albert Jackson was hired by the Postal Service and worked in the post office for 36 years until his death in 1918. And his living relatives knew little of his achievements until recent years. And you know what, Hannah? After many years of sponsoring events and giving talks at school, some of those relatives persuaded Heritage Toronto to put up a plaque honoring their important ancestor. Canada Post even released an Albert Jackson stamp to recognize Jackson's distinguished service to the Canadian Postal Service, Granddad Henry added. Hannah couldn't wait to share all this interesting info with her friends. You know that game, post office or telephone? Well, then you can kind of imagine what happened to the little history lesson about Albert Jackson as one of Hannah's friends to another passed the story along. And then those friends to siblings and parents. Hannah called her friend Amber. "Guess what, Amber? Granddad Henry just told me about Jesse Jackson, Toronto's first black mailman." "When was that?" Amber asked. "At coffee this morning," Hannah replied. Amber gave Hannah the side eye and said, "No, Hannah, when was Jesse Jackson the mailman in Toronto?" "Oh," Hannah said, "a while ago." Later that afternoon, Amber met up with her friend Joshua. "Joshua," Amber said, "did you know that a man named Reggie Jackson was Toronto's first black mailman?" "Really? Really? You're sure about that? I thought Reggie Jackson was a baseball player." "Apparently he was a mailman too." And on the story of Albert Jackson traveled, changing a bit as it went along. About a week later, Paul Wells, dad of one of Hannah's friends, saw Henry walking up the street and stopped to talk to him. "Excuse me, sir, are you Hannah's granddad?" Wells smiled at Granddad Henry and said, "I want to thank you for teaching folks in the neighborhood a little bit about Toronto's history, especially the history of black Torontonians." Wells continued, "I never knew that Michael Jackson's great-grandfather was the first black mailman in Toronto." Granddad Henry left Paul Wells standing on the sidewalk and went down to the cafe. Down to the cafe to recover. He sat down, shook his head and smiled, and said to himself, "I tried, Albert, I tried." The end. So, do we have any? Some children? Where are they? Oh, okay. So we will sing the children out with Catherine with our children's song. May joy surround you as you go. Go in peace. Know our love is
With you always as you go, as you go. In Canada, you got a little bit of reverb going on there, I think. In Canada, as enslaved laborers and 19th century frontier builders, black workers had been essential to the development of this country. But by the turn of the 20th century, and with the changing tide of world events, they were no longer considered important to the Canadian workforce. Next. There we go. So the Canadian Brotherhood of Railroad Employees was a white union, and they wouldn't allow black porters to join. So the black porters decided to start their own union. So in 1917, the black porters formed the first black railway union in North America. Despite having the protections of the Union and despite having won medals at the 1932 Olympics and the 1934 British Empire Games, Ray Lewis, when he returned to Canada, returned to work as a porter for the CPR, the only work he could get. I knew Ray Lewis. He was a member of my father's church, the Stewart Memorial Church. And a school, an elementary school, was named after him. And when it opened, Vivian, who's Ray's wife, decided that she wanted me involved in the ceremony in some way. And I don't know why, but I had made the mistake of telling her that when I was in high school, I'd played the trumpet. So she said, well, usually, processionals will have, fanfare, trumpet. I was very fortunate that I had somebody playing with me because I lost my embouchure like halfway through the ceremony, and he was on his own. Gail's good friend, Susan Fox, was the first principal at the Ray Lewis School. The Maya Angelou poem, "And Still I Rise," I'm going to change it a little bit and use the phrase, "and still we rise." Despite all the trials and tribulations that Ray Lewis went through, he was named an Officer of the Order of Canada in 2001 and had a Hamilton, as I was saying, a Hamilton Elementary School named after him in 2005. Another person related to the railway was Stanley Grizel. He was elected as the president of his Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the local of that union. And he pushed the CPR, the Canadian Pacific Railroad, to open the management ranks to black people. In 1959, Grizel and Jack White were the first black Canadian candidates to run for election to the Legislative Assembly of Ontario for the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, which was a predecessor to the NDP. He received the Order of Ontario in 1990 and the Order of Canada in 1995, and still we rise. In 1955, the Canadian government introduced the West Indian Domestic Scheme. It brought 2,600 women, many of whom were educated professionals with no other Canadian immigration path, to immigrate as domestic workers from Jamaica and Barbados by 1965. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Excerpts from Austin Clark's Meeting Point. When Bernice Leach got the job 32 months ago as a domestic for the Berman family, she was expected to cook 3 meals a day. To her surprise, it turned out she only had to cook 1 meal a day. But despite this help from her employers, Bernice knew her place. Sometimes it was pointed out to her that on this street she was to remember she wasn't a housewife. A head would lean out of a passing car or would draw back a window blind to wonder and to consider the possibility that the 2 healthy-looking children belonged by blood to the woman into whose hands they had been entrusted. One snow-filled afternoon, a woman driving a blue Cadillac stopped and waited until Bernice and the children got alongside. And when she thought they could hear and were in smelling shot of her Estee Lauder Youth Dew perfume, she pulled her spectacles down her long Semitic nose and said, "Well," in that short, aggressive manner. That really meant shit, right? That was the day Bernice wished everybody in Forest Hill, man, woman, and child, dead. The day when a tear came to her eyes and shimmered. She was only supposed to cook for the Bermans, but Mrs. Berman used to rent Bernice out to her friends. She said to one of her friends one day, "Oh, that costs money. I will send Bernice over. She can do the work of a mule, 2 mules. And look, you don't even have to bother paying her. Bernice will come, darling." Oh, I couldn't do that, but she'd already mentally accepted the offer of Bernice's sweat. Forget it. Don't spend your money foolishly. But would Bernice come? You know how those West Indian women feel. Will Bernice come? Irene, are you forgetting Bernice is my maid? That's what I pay her to do. When Bernice raised no objection, this silence was taken for surrender, for acceptance. These newfangled things. Okay. December, January, and February piled snow on the ground. Added to this, Mrs. Berman refused to raise her wage from the $90 a month with which she had started almost 3 years ago in 1960. The burden and demands of her new life in this country were becoming too much for her. when one day, bam, 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 she actually clapped her hands in joy 3 times and shouted, "There's still a God up there. There must be a God somewhere." Oops. Sorry. In the hymn book. In the hymn book. It's 10:05. 10:05. Actually, no. You're right. I'm wrong. I jumped ahead. Never mind. No, I actually was right. Which side are you on? The script has changed a few times. Which side are you on? Right. So you're going to be asked to sing the chorus along with Catherine, and she's going to tell you what it is. Right, Catherine?
Yes. So the chorus, and you'll be, am I on? You'll be familiar with this once we get started. I sometimes think that Beverly asked me to do this because she knew I had so much to learn. So I learned about a woman by the name of Florence Reese who wrote this number. And Pete Seeger, lots of people sang this piece. And it's sort of familiar to me. But now I've got the lyrics and I'm not going to, it's in here now. And so Florence Reese, her father was a miner, and he died in the mines. And her husband was a miner and developed black lung. And she got up there, and she was talking to these union guys, And so this is a song she wrote. Come on, all you poor workers, good news to you I'll tell, how that good old union has come in here to dwell. Sing together. Which side are you on? 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 We're starting our good battle. We know we're sure to win because we've got the gun. Thugs are looking thin. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? You go to Harlan County, there is no neutral there. You'll either be a Union man or thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? 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 They say they have to guard us to educate their child. Their children live in luxury, ours are almost wild. Which side are you on? 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 Gentlemen, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a gun thug, or will you be a man? Which side are you on? 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 My daddy was a miner. He's now in the air and sun. He'll be with you fellow workers till every battle's won. Which side are you on? 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 And then she said, now all of you know which side you're on, and they'll never keep us down.
Actually, the answer to that question is not as clear as it seems. Which side are you on? Would you be on the side of the porters who were trying to start their own union because they'd been locked out of the white union? Is that the side you're on? Or are you on the side of the union that locked them out? Food for thought. Bearing the unfortunate acronym NUDE, N-U-D-E, the National Union of Domestic Employees was formed in 1974. Its mission is to secure the best quality of life for low-income workers by providing effective representation, skillful negotiation, aggressive advocacy, and continuous programs of training and education for the personal development of the worker and his or her family. Closer to home and closer in time. 22 August 2023, CTV News Toronto. Jamaican migrant workers were sent back to the Caribbean from a farm in Ontario nearly a month before they were supposed to go. Earlier this month, after holding a one-day strike in protest of their workplace conditions, a poorly functioning toilet overflowed, running into the workers' sleeping area, and that's why they were protesting. August 23rd, 2023, just a couple weeks ago.
Our meditation words this morning are 3 short quotes, 2 from Maya Angelou and 1 from Audre Lorde. I'll read each one and give you a moment to absorb. In these moments of contemplation, I invite each of you to breathe, to close your eyes if you wish. After the readings, there'll be a few moments of silence and then music. During the music, you may come forward and light a candle for your own joy, sorrow, or concern. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can practice any virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter defeats so you can know who you are and what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether or not I am afraid. Amen. This is a time in our congregation when we share the joys and sorrows of community. And I have two sorrows this morning. First, from Kathy Brown. It is with great sadness that I send word of the death Thursday of Michael Neeson, father of my sons Jason and Jed, papa of my 4 grandchildren. With him, I shared some of the most important years of my life. Thank you, Michael. Go well with the tambourine man. He'll take you on a trip on his magic swirling ship. He'll play a song for you, and in the jingle jangle morning, he'll come following you. Our thoughts are with Kathy and her children and grandchildren at this difficult time. And from Charlie Pond, June Graham passed on July the 7th, and we only learned of this when her obituary was in the newspaper this week. She was born on June the 3rd, 1920, and died at the age of 103 after a long, interesting, and productive life. She was surrounded by her family in her last days and hours at Idlewild Manor. Many of you know her as a person full of joy and excitement. The congregation will release a link to her obituary this week and details about a celebration of life, which is scheduled for October 1st. And a combination joy and sorrow from Susan and Ian Johnson. The joy is Ian's surgery was successful. He's out of the hospital and even did a 5-minute walk around the complex where they live with the walker after his heart surgery. And the sorrow is, you may have noticed something on Susan's arm. She broke her wrist very badly and had to have surgery, and it's all wrapped up for at least 3 weeks. So please watch for something about a meal train, because one of the ways we can support is 3 weeks of dinners and suppers that we can deliver. And I'll be outside as part of Building Caring Community if you want your name on the list or to know a bit more about it. I'm taking names, okay? And finally, I have a joy, which feels a bit weird because it's from myself, but nonetheless, it is a joy. Some of you know that I have family far away that I'm very close to. My 2 nieces and their children and husbands who have been here for 2 weeks from Vancouver and Austin, Texas. What a gift to hold these dear children and see Emma and Adri face to face up close. It's been a wonderful 2 weeks. I've seen other people. Now this.
Yeah.
For some of us, there are joys and sorrows deep in our hearts, too tender to share. And as I read from a member of our congregation the other day, when we can hold grief in one hand and joy in the other, it is truly a place where we can stretch and grow. So may it be.
So I just need to set up this video very quickly. The person featured in the 2 little clips that you're about to see is Ona Mae Allen. Ona Mae turned 99 2 weeks ago, and I went to visit with her and do this interview. She is hilarious. I tried when I clipped the interview to get as many of the little hilarious bits as possible, but if you'd like some time to see the whole interview, I'd be happy to host a viewing party.
Firstly, after I graduated from high school, I took a secretarial course. I was going to be a secretary like my aunt, my dad's sister. Oh, I just loved it. Went to business college for a year in Chatham, Chatham Business College. Graduated with high honors as a secretary. Due to my color, I couldn't get a job every time there was an ad in the paper, wanted one. You go, it's already taken. I got so disheartened.
Abide with me, O thou that changest not, abide with me.
Worked in a tomato factory for a year. I had to do something. And that's when Reverend Perry came up to one of our church. We had something, conference going on. Constantine Perry was in. He had a big mouth. And he knew everybody in the government, you know, in Toronto. So he said, there's a nursing assistant course coming up in led by the government. In 1946, the first class starts October 46, and there'll be one class a month formed to give girls a job to help the RNs after the war because they needed more nursing hands. So they're calling them registered nursing assistants. The course is 9 months. You get paid $60 a month, and you apply. You girls here in Buxton, and use my name as a reference. And if there's any, you know, this thing that's not you're not receiving any answers, give me a call. Cora, Prince, and I came to Hamilton. I'll never forget it. October 1946, the same year my brother started as a porter on the train, the CNR. Well, back in the day, honey, you worked, then you had to change them diapers, go down and wash them all off with a brush, down in the big old scrub room, and then you had to collect all the false teeth. They were all in the basin, everybody's
teeth. How could you tell one from the other?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes. And we had to clean them all with this brush and then start sticking them in the mouth, see who fit who. And then we got a little higher up there. And then got our time all spent, this 9 months. And then they said you could have a job at the General. And Miss Campbell was the head of the Hamilton General Hospital. I'll never forget her. And said, well, you girls have a job and you get $90 a month. We thought, my God, we can't live on $90. We got $60 for training. Yeah. So we stayed a month, and a girl, one of our buddies who was working along with us, said, you know, we can go up to the sanatorium. You make more money. So Up we go and apply it the same. Well, we got a job up there. We had to work in the children's ward for a certain length of time until your BCG become positive that you will work with active TB patients. They'd be in there for months and months. Indian children from way from home. But then the head nurse and the head doctor, Dr. Urick and his sister, Miss Urick, said, "You girls love nursing so well. Why don't you go in training to be a registered nurse?" And that was the encouragement we got. One of my best friend's mother stated she didn't feel it was time for the black people yet. We were accepted and went in training in 1948.
Over my head, I hear music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. So that is a picture of Ona's nursing cap. She and Cora Prince Travis from North Buxton were the first black nurses to train and graduate as RNs in the Chatham area in 1951. And Ona began at the Hamilton General Hospital in 1952 and remained there for the next 36 years, retiring in April 1990. One sec. No, this is the best part. Ona had been well into her career before the Ontario Nurses Association, the Nurses Union, began. That was in 1973. So I said, "Ona, it wasn't lost on me that the initials of the Ontario Nursing Association are the same as your name." And she paused and she looks at me, "That's right." She told me nothing about her union experience, but to me that said everything.
Thank you, Beverly. It's time for the offering. On this Labor Day Sunday, we reflect on the fact that for those of us fortunate enough to have paid work in our lives, the way that was acknowledged was with money. So much of the work that is done in this country and this world is done with no remuneration. That's true in this church as well. And to all of you who do so much in so many ways, thank you. And we also need, for those of you who can, that remuneration from your paid work. And so we will now have the offering while Catherine sings.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. Though sorrows has my soul, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song.
Thank you for your monetary gifts that keep the lights on and our wonderful staff paid. Thank you. As we bring our service to a close, I remind you that there'll be lemonade and water outside, and that next Sunday is in-gathering, and that the visitor and congregational group will be meeting in here as soon as people get a chance to get their lemonade. Our benediction is from Michelle Obama. You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all the world's problems at once. But don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. So may it be.
So you can sing along with this one, except you have to follow my rhythm. The rhythm in the book is very white. It's very white. So follow DJ and I. So our postlude is over my head. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I feel music in the air. Over my head, I feel music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I see singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I see trouble in the air. Over my head, I see trouble in the air. Over my head, I see trouble in the air.